Hi, I'm Sandra Carrion, and this is Lois Humans.
Hi, Lois.
And I've known Lois and that's David back there. We've known each other for a long time. We're both teachers. We teach at a bunch of schools on Long Island, at the colleges, and at all different levels. And we've worked with students for many, many, many years. And in every photo class that we teach, the end product of a class is make a portfolio. So I'm going to speak to you today about just the portfolio itself. And actually, in researching for this project, our eyes have been pinned open quite a bit, realizing that not too many people know what this is. Even people that we thought should know what this is don't really kind of have a full grasp on it. So do you want to give a little background on you, and then I'll start, and then we'll go? Or you have nothing to say?
No, yeah, you'll see me in the next section.
Okay. Okay. Lois and I also, out of just for the love of of photography, started a business, Image Factory Experimental Photography Workshops, and because sometimes you get stuck. You just really get stuck on what you're doing, and you just need something to kind of push you over the top, a new technique, a new something, as David says, the new camera, whatever it takes to inspire you to start creating work, you start. So again, we'll hold all questions to the end. We're going to give you a little bit of time at the end to ask questions, and then I have a few things to show you, and we'll just start with the presentation. It's going to be mostly me talking, and there are a few questions I will ask you. Okay? So we'll start at the end result here, which is for work to be in a show at Soho Photo Gallery in May. This place is already set. The decision has to be made of what goes in that show by March. The beginning of the second week of March. Because we have to get publicity ready, and we need a lot of information, and selection takes a long time. So that's your deadline to create your, and we're going to call it a mini portfolio for this particular project that we're working on. Because for Soho Photo Gallery, you will need to prepare 3 prints, exhibition quality prints. Okay? We'll give you more information about that, and I'll send specifications off to Deborah of how to prepare this. So you'll have a deadline, you'll have ideas of how to do it, you'll listen to everything we have to say here, and then you'll put it together, give me the prints, give Lois and I the prints, we haul them down to Soho Photo, they make the decision of who's going to be in the show, and then we contact you to tell you that yes, you're in, or so sorry. But in either event, whether you accept it or not, it's a terrific learning experience. And also as a bonus, Soho Photo, when we look at portfolios, which we do the first Saturday of every month except for August, they've offered you a special, that we charge $50 for that for the group, and there's about 20 people that look at your portfolios, take careful notes of what the comments that are made, and then someone sits down and goes over that with you. So you're getting like a mini portfolio review by bringing in your portfolio. If you're thinking about joining as a member, this is not for this show, this is all going to happen after that show in May. If you're thinking about joining as a member, you'll have to prepare like a full portfolio, but the $50 fee is waived for you. So that's another bonus that you get from doing this program. And that's only for the people who are involved in this program, this whole program. If you just showed up today, like Colin, if you just showed up today for and those of you who are just here just to learn about portfolios, this wouldn't apply to you. Okay? So those are the 2 bonuses. So first, let's, we have to figure out what is a portfolio. So if you go on, Google and you Google it, they're going to send you to Dick Blick, B&H, and they're going to show you pictures of portfolio cases, because this is actually just called a portfolio. Okay? But what we're going to deal with today is what's inside that portfolio. So really what it is, it's a collection of work, a cohesive body of work about your vision on photography. So this is something you really can't look up and say, okay, here's someone's portfolio and here's the steps that they did to do it. I'm going to recreate the steps and this will work. It doesn't. There is no right or wrong. There is no one pathway for this. It is your journey and you have to kind of pave your own way. And you do that by really taking some inventory in yourself and a good look at yourself and move on with it and just put the thing together. That said, it's very hard to kind of sit in a void, a void, and say, today I'm going to make a portfolio. It doesn't work that way. It's a process. And the portfolio changes all the time, depending on what you're going to do. It will change even as time goes by. I'm doing a renovation in my house right now and gutted the basement, so I had to get everything out where my studio is. And I must have thrown 1,000 pictures away. And I'm looking at them going, why am I keeping this? It's horrible. Stuff from 25 years ago. So, it's not just because you made it. It's not golden. It's not sacred. You have to be willing to really take a close look at it and just say, make way. When you get all that old junk out of the way, then you have room for new things, and that kind of works a thing in your head too. Okay. So where to start? So the first thing is you have to define yourself. What type of photographer are you? Do you only shoot landscapes? Do you shoot portraits, still lifes? Do you do a little bit of this and that? Are you a street shooter? In a journalistic type of vein? Those are things that you have to really figure out for yourself what you like to do. So if you love looking at the work of Ansel Adams, but you have no interest in going into the wilderness for 3 months at a time with an 8x10, with large format equipment, you have no interest in doing that at all. Forget about taking that trip out there and planting your tripod, in front of Half Dome and trying to get that shot with your small little pocket camera or your phone. That's not going to happen. There are actually stories of people looking for where did he put his tripod? Looking to plant their tripod in the same place where he did, because if they were in that spot, they would, they'd be okay. They'd get the same result, and you don't. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is figure out what you want, and it can change. Sometimes I'm a portrait photographer, sometimes I'm only landscape, sometimes I'm just abstracts, and you just have to shoot. You also have to set goals for yourself. Are you looking for money? Are you looking for fame? Is it just because you love to do it? Are you looking for gallery representation? Do you want to be part of a commercial gallery? Or do you want to be part of a collective? Lois and I went the route of the collective. We are part of 3 galleries. Soho Photo Gallery in Manhattan, Photo Gallery on Long Island, and also 9 East Gallery on Long Island. And we went this route because with commercial galleries, yeah, they will only accept you if they can sell your work. So you may have something that's very precious to you and good, but the gallery is not going to pick you up because they can't sell it. We had a gallery talk at Photo, and one of the panelists there owns a gallery on Long Island, the Long Island Photography Gallery. Nice name, Long Island Photography Gallery. But she only sells pictures of things that are recognizable on Long Island. Very, kind of travel scope type of things, of iconic areas of Long Island, like the Duck out east, or,
Niche market.
It's a niche market. So she can sell your work if that's what you do. But if you want to go in there and say, listen, I really want, I want you to, show and sell my abstract, she's going to tell you to no, I can't do it. Because she knows her clientele and she knows what she can sell. So that's what she's going to deal with. So you really have to know, as part of your goal, what it's about. So we went the other way because I can't speak for Lois, but I don't want anybody telling me what to do or what I can and cannot do. And I wanted to keep the photography pure for me. So I kept my full-time job. Luckily, it was teaching and teaching photography, so I was involved with young people and doing what I loved, and that was a good thing for me. I mean, there are other people in the gallery. We have a New York City bus driver. We have, who else? What does, we have a banker, a hairdresser. I mean, we have all these people who are from all different walks of life, and that's what makes it so exciting. And in a collective, there really is, once you're into the collective or the cooperative gallery, collective is the new term that everybody likes to be called. We're part of a collective. It sounds fancier than a cooperative, because there are a lot of very uncooperative people that you have to deal with in a cooperative gallery. But Lois will go through that a little bit further later on. But we chose to go that path because we wanted to just keep it pure for us. And this way we can experiment with something. You put one picture in a group show that you may never do this type of thing again, but you wanted to try it out and see how it went. You're never going to sell a whole lot of stuff in there, okay? You're never going to become rich. Usually newspapers, magazines, media they don't like to cover collective galleries because there are no rules for it. They can be, they sometimes call them vanity galleries because you're the one that's in charge of your own thing. But that's part about it that I like. And if you do manage to sell something, then you keep what you sold. You probably have to give back maybe 10, 15% maybe to the gallery, or as a commercial gallery, it could be like 50 to even more that you give to the gallery. And they're always on your back. They want new work. They want new work, and that's your nickel that nobody's paying for you to do that. There's also the distinction between commercial photographers and fine art photographers. And I'm going to read a little something to you that someone just gave to me. And it says here, to us, fine art photography stands for, in contrast to photojournalism and commercial photography. So they're saying right here, commercial photography and photojournalists are not really part of the fine art world, although there are many, many exceptions. While photojournalism provides visual support for stories, mainly in the print media, and commercial photography's main focus is to sell a product or a service, fine art is a photography done to express the artist's perceptions and emotions and to share them with others. So there's nothing said in there about fine art photography is there for making money. Really isn't. It's got to be something from your heart. Your homework and scales. If we were musicians, we would be playing our instruments every single day. Photographers are very bad at this. And we try to impress this on our students too, that you must shoot daily. Of course you're going to go into situations or lulls where you just can't and life gets in the way. But if you really want to get good, it's got to be something that's a passion of yours. Okay? Who's your audience? Where is it appropriate to show work? You want to make sure that if you're submitting something, say, to a competition that's going to be shown next to a children's library, children's sections of a library, you don't put any kind of pornographic images in there. You will be immediately rejected. And is there censorship? Of course there's censorship. To say that I'm a fine art photographer, I'm going to do whatever I want, you can do that, but you have to be prepared that every picture you take, if it's inappropriate for a certain group of people, it's not going to be shown. And for some people that doesn't matter. They're happy just on their own websites, they're happy on their social media with their circle, and that's fine. But if you want to be part of a group, you have to find out from that group if this is okay to do this. Okay? So that's a really important thing. Know your audience, know what's appropriate, and if you don't fit into that group, don't try to push your way in. It's just not going to work. Okay? Inventory. Keep your work current. Keep track of your negatives. Where are they? Keep track of your files. This is very hard to do now digitally. One thing, with negatives, you could always just drag wherever you keep your negatives and start looking at them, and you'll hopefully, if you don't have like a mountain of it, you'll get through it and you'll find what you need. But you want to be able to access what you're trying to get so that you can work with it. So you need a system, and you need to start that system. If you don't have a system now, you need to just start it. Don't try to go back to let me go back to everything I've done, and I'm going to, put this in categories so that I'll be able to get this, because that's what Sandy said to do. Don't do that. Start from today, okay? Because that's really important. I'll tell you a story later on about why that's really important. Okay. Fluffy the dog. Some of you might have heard me speak about Fluffy the dog at one of the portfolio reviews. This is editing. And editing is probably the single most difficult thing to do. When we look at portfolios, we ask for a certain number of pieces. Some people want to say, well, I'll bring more, because more is better. Like that commercial, what was that AT&T commercial? More is better. It's not. If you show up to have your work reviewed, they ask for 20 images, you come in with 100, that immediately is telling the reviewer, you don't know what you're doing. You can't even make your own decisions to pick out your top 20 pictures to show this person. So that's right off the bat, that's a bad thing to do. Also, what's bad to do is bringing your portfolio, bringing these 100 pictures around and asking everybody you know, what do you think? Because if you ask 10 people to pick out your portfolio for you, you're going to get 10 different portfolios. Because each one of those people is going to have, they're going to have their own ideas about the work, not knowing it. And then you go, but oh, I really like this one. It's Fluffy. He's dead now. And your heart is breaking. He must be in there. And they're like, who? I don't think so. Okay, so you have to put aside people that are dear to you, the dogs, the cats, old friends, old situations, or situations that are dear to you. You have to put all that aside, and you have to be, like what Deborah said, brutal with yourself. You have to be very, very concentrated on getting your point across. And that goes to keep building on this, like know your audience, where's it going, what kind of photographer am I? All those things start to build, and you can't skip anything and say, well, just for this time, I'm going to slip Fluffy in there. I mean, if you want to, on your own personal website, make a private area or a blog that you only give a password to, the ode to Fluffy, yeah. Fine, I'm not telling you to throw these things away or get rid of these memories, but it's just there's no place for it in this world. And again, everything I say, you can always find an exception to that, because there are plenty of photographers that have, that's all they do, and they're very successful at it. But you have to take it, just go globally, and then if you fall into that niche, then you're okay. These two quotes I thought were just incredible. One by Charles Trabb, who does a graduate studies program, pretty well-known photography teacher. Edit, when in doubt, shoot more, and then edit again. So it's just this constant process of looking and tossing things out, looking and tossing things out. We're going to do a little exercise on here called a blink. And I'm going to put up a bunch of pictures for you, and we're going to just say yes or no. In, out, in, out, in, out. Okay? We'll do that in a minute or two. And then, again, by Cartier-Bresson, your first 10,000 photographs are your worst. So that kind of underwrites that whole concept of you really need to shoot and shoot and shoot. And not just stand there blindly. It's with intention and it's with meaning that you have to do this. I see lots of people running down the street, and they're talking to their friends, like, oh yeah, oh yeah, and they're not really thinking. If you're out shooting, shoot. Leave everything else aside. If you're not shooting with your phone, then put the phone, turn it off, and put it in your pocket, and be done with it. I tried years ago when I was really, really just cutting my teeth and then thinking, oh, this is great, I'm going to go skiing. And I've never skied. I'm going to brought all my equipment with me. I said, this is wonderful. And I've really, really learned very fast that you either ski or you take pictures. So I, at that point, figured this was a ski trip, and I dumped the camera equipment and just shot in the lodge, after I, eased my muscles and had a few drinks to calm everything down from the panic of being on a mountain. It looks so much easier on television. Okay, so with this editing process, you want to get maybe a buddy, somebody. And it's best, if you were in a class, you would probably hook up with somebody in the class that you're not that close with. You want a photo buddy, not a friend to go shopping with. You want somebody who can be honest with you and really tell you how it is. Lois and I do this all the time. We'll look at each other's work, and I love her dearly, and I know she loves me, but she'll look at some of my work and she'll go, no. Yeah. Or the same thing with her. We can say that to each other, and we know it's for the good of the other person. And when I taught in the high schools and the colleges, I said, this is like if your mother sent you to school, if you were in 8th grade and your mother sent you to school and you stunk because you hadn't bathed in a week. That's not fair to that kid for the mother to just say, I just love you. You're okay. I don't care what you smell like. In the meantime, the kid's getting annihilated in school because he stinks. So you're doing your friend and yourself a big favor by by being honest and really, really looking at things very, very carefully. So that said, I want to jump to this blink exercise. And I have this in Lightroom. So we're just going to do like a simple, in or out. And if I type a 1 in there, that means it's out. If I put a 2 in there, that means it's in. Okay, so very quickly, you can only get a couple of seconds, just yell out a number. How come it's not going to the next one? Nah. I always have trouble here. Hang on. Okay. The image is gone? Oh, I'm in develop. Oh, God. That's right. Thank you. Gotcha. Okay. Better? All right. Let's see if we can. All right. There we go. Out.
In. In.
I'm hearing half and half. We'll go in with that. We've got to have something here. Maybe. I think I'm hearing more out. Oh my God! Are you just in, out? Okay. And I'm hearing more ins. That's fluffy. Again? I'm hearing some ins in there. In. Yeah. In, out. In. putting that in. It's out. It's out. Okay, so basically, the skiing pictures, really. I grabbed these pictures because they're not finished, they're just raw pictures, very few little tweaks done to some of them. To show you that in Lightroom, or you choose Bridge or Aperture, whatever program you choose to use digitally, that how quickly you can go through. That was 60 pictures. Okay, and let's just see, of the 60, let's put on the rating filter, and let's see how many got a 2. That is, yeah, grid. There. Out of 60, that's the ones that got the, oh no. Here we go, this one, that filter. Okay, so out of 60, those are the ones that got the 2 rating. Okay, the ins. From here, you would go through this again, and you would edit this down. So if you shot, out shooting, and you have 500 pictures, it would not take you that long to go through them initially and give it just a yes, no, that's it. And what's nice about Lightroom and these editing programs is that you can always go back and change your mind. It's not like you're throwing it away, you're chopping up your negative, you're just making some first decisions. Okay, so that's called a blink response, or a blink technique, where you can quickly go through your work and just categorize them just by ratings. All right, from there you want to make sure that everything has a keyword, that everything has some kind of way for you to get back to these pictures. Okay, we're clear on that? So that's just one technique of just quickly going through your work with this blink thing. All right. To matte or not to matte. Okay, this is something, there are advantages, especially if you work at a common size and you invest in getting your work matted. It really does protect your work. You can always swap out the mattes, the prints inside the mattes, and then you can customize your portfolios for whatever you're going to do. If you're going to go to a gallery that tells you we only want to look at landscape pictures, not the orientation, but just pictures of landscapes, then you can quickly make your portfolio by swapping out the prints. Okay, if you work at the standard size, it does look very beautiful. A matted print in a frame looks really nice. However, if you start heading around to some of the galleries, you'll see they're doing things very differently these days. They're printing on metals. They're printing on using what is that called? Acrylic that the print is. Plexi, printing on, adhering the print to plexi. Very expensive to do that, but it's a very modern look to it. They're hanging things on the wall with push pins. If this is your vision of how you want your work to look, then you would not put your things in mattes. Okay? If the place that you're sending your work to, the competition or the gallery or whatever, requires that it has to be matted, then do what they say, because they have a reason for that. They may not be able to put push pins in the walls, and that would be the end of having your picture included in that show. Okay? And the look, Lois and I were talking about this too. The look these days for the modern, the mattes and frames are starting to look a little old. To me anyway. We see a lot of work coming into Soho Photo Gallery. In fact, right now there's an absolutely beautiful street photographer showing there, Scott Surbeck. He has the whole back of the gallery, the 2 sides on the back, and every single shot that he has something interesting in it, some kind of an odd twist that he's just done because he's out shooting like every day. Okay, so you want to make sure that your pictures match the look that you want, that you're trying to get. All right, you don't want to do it just because you don't want to pay for having mattes done, And the other side of it is, don't just buy mattes and try to squeeze a print into it. Okay, so we see that a lot too, and it's really, really disturbing to see a print that doesn't fit. It's like trying to watch somebody put on a coat that's 4 sizes too small. It just doesn't work. and you shouldn't do that.
What do you mean by that?
If the print doesn't fit in the mat, if the print is too small, and it's just hanging in there and it's flopping around because it doesn't fit and it's not professionally done, it's not going to work. So standard sizes may not work for you for everything. And if that's an issue with you, I know we tell the kids in school, if this is an issue, you can look for something less expensive that's already pre-cut, or some of them just don't want to cut mats. So if you then make your prints fit this, then buy the mats and make your prints fit. Figure it out, okay? Don't cheap out here. Make sure you're using archival materials. One way to tell if a mat is museum quality or archival, of course you can ask and they'll tell you. But if you look at the core of the board, the board is made up of like layers, and the cheaper mat board has a layer on the bottom that's not a bad paper, a layer on the top that's not a bad paper, and then the core of it is like a piece of crap. So when you cut the mat, you'll see the different layers, and there'll be an odd color. It's just not going to look right. So you want to make sure that you get a good archival board, that the core of the board is the same all the way through. Then there's 4-ply boards and 8-ply boards. Okay, there is something 2-ply, which is very, very thin. It's almost like an oak tag type of like a little heavier than a file folder, something like that. You don't want to go with the 2-ply, either 4-ply, or if you really have a lot of money, 8-ply. Okay, and again, the final goal is, where is it going? I would really not recommend that you run right out and you just print up a bunch of prints and you get them matted and everything so you can stick them in a portfolio case and call it done. You wait until you have something to do with it, and then you do it. Okay, at Soho Photo we require, I'm going to go through the rules with you, I'll do the rules later on. The next thing here I want to talk about is personal websites. This is really a must for your portfolio, and I'll tell you why. So here are two names here, Chris Hankey and Sandra Carrion. And I'm going to tell you a really wonderful story and a real bad story. So the first one, Chris Hankey, we're going to go to his website. And we're going to go to Lightscapes. Several years ago, his name will come up a little bit later on in Lois's presentation. Several years ago, he submitted the picture on the top right, for the Crappy Camera Show at Photo. So these are shot with a Holga. They're, that's the only one that one got into the show. Where am I? We have a sub-contest. Anybody that uses a Holga camera, their names and their pictures get forwarded to the Holga company in China, and they give their own award. So they look at everything that was in the show, the winning pictures. Of the 50 that are in the show, maybe 40 of them are done with a Holga. It's a very popular camera. So Holga people looked at that picture, and they come back to me and they say, this is the one that gets the prize. I said, okay, and I'm looking at it, I'm going, I don't get it. There were so many other pictures done with Holgas that I thought were so much better. But this is a contest. They're giving the $500 cash prize. So who am I? It's their nickel, they're happy to do it. And then I found out from them what they do is, of those people that sent in entries, the Holga, the ones that won, they go visit all their websites. And they saw this on his website, along with some other really innovative work. And it turns out he's a young guy, college student. In fact, his mother brought the print in. But they liked his vision, they liked his voice. And that's why he got and then when I looked at his work and I started digging through his website, I said, that's really cool. So if you're entering a competition and you're trying to join a gallery, so make sure that your website is really working. and that you have something to say on it, because somebody is going to be looking at it, and then you could end up winning, you know, money or fame and fortune. So, and I'll bring you, that's the good story. Here's the bad story. SandraCarryon.com, all right? And we're going to go to the florals panel here. Okay. Damn it. And this picture right here. Okay. It's called Parrot Tulips. And for as long as I've had my website, and I've been doing this, I never once got anybody asking me anything about anything on there. Not once. All of a sudden, about a month ago, right after my studio, everything got packed up into boxes so it could be, you know, the renovation could begin. They could start gutting and doing electric and banging away. So everything is gone. I get an email from someone who said, I saw this beautiful picture on your website. How much is it? I'm like, whoa, what is this all about? So I looked at it, and I was like, and this was done with film back in like 1998, something like that. So everything is somewhere in a box in the garage, and it literally is floor to ceiling. The whole garage is just filled. This is like the Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they're looking for that box at the end, and it's like this huge storeroom. That's how I felt when I was looking at it. So I get back to her and I said, well, if it's a silver print, it can be, you know, this size, and it would be that much money. If it's a digital print, I'm thinking, I gotta find this negative. You know, and I looked through the prints that I did have out there, and I must have done something. It could have been in that pile of stuff that went out, you know, that I threw away. I didn't have it, so I lost the whole thing. So I finally got back to it. I'm having construction in my house. It should be done in March. Last thing I heard. So there's the bad story. So you want to keep your website current. You don't know who's going to be looking at it. And if you're getting into a gallery, well, we're starting to look at things right now at Soho Photo too. We're starting to do a little bit more looking at people's personal websites. And you should, if you don't have an actual website, like, you know, with, you know, firstname.lastname.com, you can have something on, you know, you can have a blog. Very easy to do. And I think part of the program here with the B&H Soho Photo is for you to come out of here with some kind of a personal website. And there are free ones, and it's, you know, not easy, not difficult to do. Trust me, there are very simple things out there where you can upload portfolios, you know, pretty easily. Okay. All right. So here, digital or print for your portfolios. What's the best thing, and why should you have both? Okay. You really need both at this point, because even if you are a totally analog, only darkroom, you know, print type, film type of person, a gallery is going to ask you for some files to put on their website, or they're going to need something for publicity. So you might as well get something going, having both of them available. You want to only include relative material. That's it. Again, the question before was very good. You don't want to show them how broad you are. You know, occasionally, or actually quite a few times, we get people that come into Soho Photo Gallery with a portfolio that is too narrow. It's something good stuff, but you can see this was shot in one day. You can just tell when you look at it. So we'll either reject that person, or we'll ask them to come back and show us a different portfolio. Because many times they'll tell us, well, this is the only thing I have. This is the first thing I did, and here I am. Or I just got out of school, or I'm just starting to take my first photography class. So it always kind of shows in your pictures. So you want to make sure that you only have your best work. You don't want to put a smattering of things into it. And again, it's funny, we walked in here today and that was written on the board, which is great. You want to keep it simple. Lois will go over more about what you need to put into your portfolio other than the photographs. Okay? So here's another really good quote. There are no rules for good photographs. There are only good photographs. I love Ansel Adams. If you just go online and just say, show me all of Ansel Adams' quotes, you'll get a whole big list of things. And he was so positive and honest. he just had these very simple, short, ideas about photography, and that's a good one to just go by. And to consult the rules of composition before making a picture is a little like consulting the laws of gravity before going for a walk. Okay, Edward Weston. I mean, two really, really good points that you want to kind of like live by. You don't want to ask too many questions. When I worked in a public high school, I would go to the principal, am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to do that? And he would say, Sandy, it's always better to beg for forgiveness rather than ask for permission. And I was like, gotcha. So I went, off on my tear and got called into the principal's office a lot. And he would just say, you got to stop doing that. And I'm like, okay, I'll stop. And then I would find another way to do it, a different way. So he couldn't say, I already told you that. There would be something. So you have to kind of go by what you want to do. Okay, you can use your coach, your partner, your buddy that you're going to get, and you can run things by. You shouldn't be living in a vacuum. You want to run things past somebody if you're not sure, but you don't want to get someone to say, yes, go ahead and do this. That's like asking somebody, like, when do I put my cat down? That's not the, okay? So you want to get attached to something like Lightroom Bridge or Aperture so that you start using a system and you stick to it. When Lightroom first came around, I was between digital and darkroom. I had a mountain of negatives, a mountain of images that to this day can't even find half of them because they're somewhere in that computer, but I don't know where. But you have to just make a commitment from like this day forward, this is how I'm going to organize my work. Okay, and there's plenty of instructions on that, but you've got to adopt one. The next thing is to make one picture at a time. So I know right now this is a portfolio class, but I'm telling you now, don't think about the portfolio. Think about just beautiful photography. And shoot, and work, edit, and tweak. You have the tools. A lot of people think that if the picture's been manipulated at all, it's no good. It's got to be right out of my camera or I've missed the boat. And that's not true. That's why, whoever created, Lightroom and Photoshop and all this, put all those tools in there. We do it in the darkroom. That was okay. And if you've ever had a chance to look at, say, Ansel Adams' Moon over Hernandez picture, the negative has nothing to do with what the final print looked like. And that final print was his vision of what it should look like, with this deep, rich black sky with the moon in it. And it was sort of like, how when it's daytime and you see the moon in there? And it's kind of a washed out sky, it's kind of a washed out, little cemetery. And he brought up all those highlights and he pushed back all that sky so that the moon can come out and it would add more drama to the base, to the bottom of the print. And if you're ever in New Mexico and you see this spot, you can drive on whatever road it was in, and they have the little church that was in that shot. The people of the town put up this big sign, like this 15-foot sign with a big no photographs on it. Because people would stop and they would go, there's Ansel Adams' famous, Moon over Hernandez picture, and they would get out of their cars and come running over, and they want to go walking through the cemetery, and people there just had enough of it, so they put that sign up to keep people away. So, again, don't try to recreate his, make your own. Again, edit, I can't say it enough. And categorize your work. You want to put your stuff into like-minded things. That's what's so nice about Lightroom, that you can make these collections, and in a collection you can have, things that were shot here, or you can have just your landscapes in one spot, or landscapes that were shot in California. You can subdivide things, and you can make a really beautiful filing system for yourself. You want to commit to something. So once you've gone through this, you've made your one picture here, your beautiful portrait, your incredible landscape, you're walking down the street, you see this amazing thing happening, you take that picture, and you have all this going on. Once you've done all that, then you want to go back and you want to commit to that concept, that idea. And then you want to actively go out and shoot that particular idea. Okay? So it starts kind of serendipitously, and then you recognize it because you've done your editing, you've done your scales, you've done your practice, you've done everything. And then from there, you narrow it down and go, I really kind of like this idea of this. And then you'll start seeing that picture all over the place. And I always tell my students, too, God is not going to throw an image into your camera. You just can't sit around and wait for it to happen. You have to make it happen. And you have to make it happen by doing your scales. All right? And quality counts. When it comes down to, if you just want to print out a bunch of like really inexpensive pictures just so you can lay your pictures out and see what they look like, fine. But please don't gather those things up and bring them in. We did have someone actually come in to Soho Photo Gallery with these horrible prints. But it's such a great place. And we're like, but these are terrible prints. Oh, well, I'm not going to show those prints. I'm going to print up better ones when it comes time to have my show. And we're like, that doesn't work that way. You have to show somebody what you can do. And what you want to not do is show them like anything that's really bad. You know, if you're having a dinner, you want to make sure you buy the best ingredients and not cheap out there to ruin the meal that you're going to make. And I think it is getting colder in here than it is outside. Deborah's wrong. It's freezing in here. Okay. You know, no one really wants to look at that one concept that you had this like epiphany one afternoon and you went out, like it snowed, and you went around your whatever and you shot in the snow. You then want to see like the ongoing thing that's maybe the last 10 snowstorms or something that's pulled together, you know, from different storms. Okay? So, okay, the rules. Deborah alluded to this before. Okay, it's not a print, it's just a printout. This was said by Tom Warner, who owned Tom Warner Gallery in New York. He also is teaching at he's the co-chair of Parsons Faculty Council, and he was at a lecture. And at Parsons, one of the students came up to him and had an iPad and said, I want to show you my prints. I want to show you my work. I want to show you my work. And he said, I want to see that. I want to see a print. And the kid said, it's not a print. It's a printout. So the new stuff that's going on now, I know I even see it in the schools. I don't know if you do. Why do we have to print anything? Nobody looks at prints. And again, if you just want to be an online photographer, then you've got to search for things that are just going to look at your stuff online and, you know, put it up online and you know, sell it online, and it will never ever be printed. You know, but then you're going to come across that person that calls you one day and asks you for a print. And if you don't have it or you can't do it, then they're never going to call you back. So you want to make sure that you really know what you want to do there. So just make sure you know the rules. And you want to follow them very, very carefully. Okay? So every place, every gallery, you know, competition or whatever comes with a set of rules. And this is going to vary. And Lois will address this further, but the next slide I'm going to show you is about, this is the application for Soho Photo Gallery, and it's not a commercial, but I just wanted to show you in the middle there, it says, portfolios are reviewed at 10 a.m. on the first Saturday of every month except August. Refer to our website for dates. A portfolio is a cohesive body of work representing a distinct theme or an ongoing project, consisting of 12 to 20 images, illustrating, okay, your skill as a photographer, your ability to edit your own work, your ability to present exhibition quality prints. See here, they're very specific. They want to see prints. So don't walk in there with a CD or an iPad, okay? Your prints should be unframed but appropriately matted or presented according to your vision, as though you were preparing for an exhibit. No slides, discs, or books, please. And I can't even begin to tell you how many people walk through the door with a book and a CD that has like 500 images on it. So they're immediately just, we have about 20 people that sit on this panel to look at work, and everybody just shakes their heads going, here's another one. You know, or we ask for something and the person comes in with something else and we say, it's on our website. Oh, it's on the application. Did you read the application? Oh, no. Okay. All right. There, underneath that is a $50 non-refundable deposit is required upon submission. So you're actually going to get a little review. And you don't, if you paid your $50, you don't want someone to tell you, hey, next time bring photographs, because we're a photography gallery that shows photographs. We don't have like we do have an online presence, but we're a gallery. So the stuff has to go up on the wall. If your stuff is so fragile that it can't be hung on the wall because it has to be, like an installation, if you're building some kind of huge thing in your backyard, we can't show that, because we are strictly prints. So we want to see the print quality. We want to see that you're using exhibition quality materials. We want to see you know how to present your work. Whether it's, here are the push pins I'm going to use to put this up on the wall. This is how it's going to be because that's my vision. Okay? Or here it's in a mat. This is how it's going to look when it's matted. So when we look at it, we're looking at the work saying, can this go up on the wall right now? That's why we're asking for a cohesive body of work and not a variety of everything you can do. Because it would look really silly if it's the Sandy Carry-On show at Soho Photo and I just had a mishmash, like what we did before, the mishmash. Okay, the stuff that has nothing to do with one another. Okay? And it gives you the monies and everything else later on. But that $50 that will be waived for the people who are in this program is applied to your dues. So you will be paying the full $600, but the $50 right there due at the review is not going to be collected from you. Okay, so here we are with this cohesive body of work. We want the work to be related, not repetitive. Again, it's not we actually did have somebody come in that had pictures of her granddaughter, beautiful little girl, but one shoot and the little girl like this way, this way, this way, this way. Same dress, same situation, just like she had everything that she was supposed to have. Beautifully matted, in a nice, she even brought a beautiful portfolio case. Printed perfectly, just perfect, but it was an hour's work. And she was very upset when she wasn't accepted. Okay, but you really have to go beyond that. And again, there's Fluffy the dog again. I mean, this is a grandchild. How do you tell somebody, these pictures are not going to be good for the walls here? And they're like, whoa, how could this be? You want your subjects to be broad. It's broad and narrow at the same time. Again, it has to be like a puzzle that the pictures look like they belong together. So you want to keep the papers consistent. You can keep the sizes consistent. Do what you can keep consistent. Do it easily. All right? But then when it comes to the taking of the pictures, then you have to vary it. So the pictures should look like they are part of a set. And I tell my students all the time, you want to think of if one picture was dropped out of your portfolio, anybody can walk into the room and say, oh, this one goes here. It has to be that intuitive that anybody can do it. You don't want to make it like so mysterious that, well, if you go back in time and 50 years ago and then all these rules, these like things that come up, then it fits. You don't want it to be that abstract, okay? You want your concepts to be targeted. Again, you want to do something that people like to see. Humor. You want to see, you know, and cleverness. You want to see that in the work. And when we were reviewing the portfolios, on Dave, that came up a lot. When people, you could see it. When somebody had something that was like a beautiful picture, beautifully shot, beautifully composed, and there was an element of humor in there, it was a knockout. Everybody likes it. You want to have a point of view. Again, forget Ansel Adams. He's dead. You want to have your own point of view. And then you want to be very, very true to that. The process, how you go through your workflow, putting out your prints, experimenting with things. Try a workshop here and there. Try different ways of doing that. So maybe just a straight print is not going to work for this topic that you're working on. You might want something a little bit different. So there are other things out there other than just an inkjet, beautiful inkjet print. And then the examples, I'll get to later. I'll get to in the next minute or so. I just wanted to show you a couple of websites where you can get some really good ideas. These are just for concepts, okay? The Eric Kim photography, he does a lot of really interesting interviews and questions. He sent out like a question to some photojournalists, and what do you think is successful to be a photojournalist? Half of them wrote back, make sure you have good shoes. It's things like that. I went to a lecture where it was the Magnum 7 group, that original group of Magnum photographers, and James Knockway is one of them. And this was at Parsons, and the students asked a question like, what kind of advice can you give? We're all photojournalism students. What advice can you give us? And his thing made so much sense, because he's just said, know what you're doing. Number one. And he goes into war zones and everything else. He goes, I had a guy sitting next to me, and his shots were being fired, and he's got his new camera that he just got. Now, he had to get into this war zone. He had to buy his own plane ticket. He had to worm his way in, and everything. He got there. And he's sitting next to James Knockway, and he's asking him, how do I use my camera? All right? So know your equipment, and you don't have to have fancy equipment. And that's how that whole crappy camera thing came about 20 years ago. It was just, you don't have to have expensive bells and whistles to make compelling, beautiful photographs. I wanted to show you the Worth 1000 site. Has anybody ever been there? Worth 1000? Oh, good. Okay, so first of all, it's a site where they hold competitions, and I don't even think they collect money. They do point credits or something like that. I'm not even sure. But the good thing is that you can go on this site and you can look around at what's been done before. So if we go to, see, they have photography, writing, illustration. If you go to photography, and you go to contests, they'll show you what the contests are, but let's go to galleries. And this will show you A to Z, different contests that they've had. So let's talk about, let's try just black and white. Okay, so we'll go to B. And here they have, this is all B, black and white in color, bridges, books, boys versus girls. Let's just go to this black and white in color. And these are the people that entered this competition. But the thing is, you get some good ideas like black and white in color. That's an interesting topic. How do you shoot black and white using color? And here's, it's very subtle, very beautiful. If you're watching this, you should try to watch the screen on this side. Okay. Fluffy. Now here's a good example of what works, black and white in color. Kind of cool. So these are all done by different people working under the same topic. I'm not a big fan of, like themed shows. If they say this is the, the black and white and color show. That would stump me because I don't do that. But if you're looking for something, and this is where I send my students, when they're looking for ideas and they have no idea, they're all, when it comes to that final project of what do I do, they want to be told what to do, okay? And everybody wants somebody to say, yeah, just point me in the right direction, tell me how to do it, and I'll go do it. And that's great, but that's not life, okay, in an art world. So some of these are good, some of these are bad, but they're, it's just what it is. Okay, so it's a good play, it's a good resource. And then it's the place too where they do have contests where if you wanted to enter something, you can enter and you can then go back and see what the results were. And it's somewhat of a voting thing. I think people can go on site and they can vote. You don't win anything, but it's just nice to see. It's a good, what?
Like Mixoto.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So that's the one side I wanted to show you. The last thing that I want to cover with you is this idea about a related body of work. Now, if we look at these pictures here, before I run through this, I just want to tell you these are all landscapes. Okay? And you can see the variety of that's up there. So when we talk about a broad topic, if you're a landscape photographer, a portrait photographer, a still life photographer, even within those broad concepts of what you are, you still have to narrow it down. So you may be a landscape photographer that's shooting, say, the figure in the landscape, and you have a model that you bring with you, or a kid, or a figure, just a person. You always show a person somewhere in the landscape. Okay, let me just run through these real quick. So here there's black and white, there's color, there's things that are different times of day, different locations. They're all landscapes. They just don't go together. Different treatments in terms of how the picture was treated, if they were treated at all. And you see, these are all landscapes. And they just don't make it as a group. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay. Now, I'll show you a different series. Oops, that's it. Okay. This project was called the In Project. This was shot over a period of about 4 years. It's windows and shops in Paris, New York, and Italy. Okay? So, just at first glance, when you look at the little, the Lightroom thing here. The thumbnails, yeah, there you go. The thumbnails. When we look at the thumbnails, you can tell just by looking at them that there's a commonality here. But they're all not just the same pictures done over and over and over again. And a lot of them, like there has to be like 500 or 600 pictures that I have in this collection, in this grouping. But then they would treat, you edit it down, pull out your top 50 or whatever, edit all of those, and then edit it again. And when I say edit it the second time, I'm talking about how are they going to be treated? How are they going to look? Do I want an edgy look? Do I want a soft look? Do I want blah, blah, blah? So let's go through these one by one. One of the things I did want was a border. So even the borders are varied from piece to piece, done in color effects. So there's that theme of this kind of like girly dress. These are all straight shots too. And they were all done with the phone. The phone, yeah. So I brought one, and to me, okay, now we can put the lights up, please. Okay. What I did was I printed it on vellum, okay, coated the back. So this is a process I saw Dan Burkholder do, and really loved it, thought it was just super, so I copied it. So it's printed on vellum. The back is gesso, spray gesso, and then the whole thing, front and back, is varnished. So it has like an onion skin type of look to it. And the way this is displayed, because this has to go up on the wall, right? The way this is displayed is with magnets. They're just held on the wall with magnets in the corners. So that's my vision for this particular work. So if I were to show this to Soho Photo Gallery, I would have a box of these, all right? And they would not be matted. They would be done just like this. Now this is a misprint because it's printed, you see it's upside down. This is too narrow down at the bottom here than at the top. It should be reversed, so this is like a reject. But from here, that's my vision. Or I could put, thumbtacks in the corners to hold. This one, I did not want to have this matted in a frame. I wanted this to be shown like this because I wanted the edges of the paper to show. Okay? The process, we teach that at Image Factory experimental workshops. Yeah, it's a vellum paper with a coating on the back, because if it was just printed on vellum, it would be very washed out looking. This kind of gives it a base. This is on the back though, and then the whole thing is varnished with a spray varnish. Okay? This is digital. This is all digital. From the phone, right from the phone, all edited on the phone, and then the edges on here were applied with. They weren't applied with color effects. It was applied with Snapseed. They have a good edge program and edge thing in there. Okay, so that's how this one was. So there would be a whole portfolio case full of that. So in terms of examples, I just want to show you. This is a very good portfolio box. A little difficult to negotiate because it's just a box. But this one I got at Dick Blick. It's about $47. If you get a coupon from Dick Blick for 40 off, it's about $28. Okay, and it's good because it keeps your prints. It's good and hard, and it's clean, and nothing's gonna. You can store your prints in it too if you're not carrying your stuff around. This one would be my preference is called a clamshell box, like this. Okay, so the person who's looking at your work, or the panel that's looking at your work, can take it. First thing they do is they take off the tissue. Okay, and then they can start leafing through your prints like this. And if these were smaller prints and they were matted, the mats would be in there too. Or if I wanted to show these particular prints and I wanted to mat and frame them, I would put them in a bigger box. Okay, so someone can just very easily go through your work, stack them up on the other side. They don't have to lie down on a table. You don't know what goes on. I mean, somebody could have a cup of coffee there, and that's, a wipeout, and that's the end. I mean, people try not to do that, but it does happen. If the gallery is asking to see matted prints, that's another good question. A lot of people say, well, why should I mat my work? I might not be accepted. You should be matting your work for you, not for the gallery. Even if your end result is to put it up on your walls in your own house. Okay? If that's how you want your work to be shown, that's what you need to do. Thank you.
Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, B&H has the answers to your questions. Experience a world of technology at our New York City Superstore. Connect with us online or give us a call. Our staff of experts is happy to help.